Okay, I'll have to make this a little quicker than I like, but maybe I can do a two-parter. This is my Smallville series review. I was going to do a Smallville season by season review, but I was watching it too fast. I was rushing through it. I was just so excited, so I didn't mean to get. It wasn't like I want to get this over with. If I didn't want to get this over with, I'd just watch a few episodes, say I didn't like it. That's the end of it. But or if I didn't like it, you know. But no, I was rushing through this because I was excited. Every step of the way, I was like intrigued. I was like, oh. There was not there were a few things I don't like about it, but because nothing's perfect, but there's nothing that really comes to mind when I say like Smallville is like, oh, well, that sucked, or ooh, that was awesome. You know, it's all really, really good. The 2-part finale is awesome. But I was so confused by a lot of decisions they made throughout the show's run. In season 7, they kill off Lex Luthor, and I was just like, well, okay, so in season 7, he gets injured when the Fortress of Solitude comes crashing down on top of him, and he's presumed dead. Then he shows back up, but now he looks like a Star Wars OC. You know, it's kind of weird. And then he's not played by Michael Rosenbaum anymore, which is why I think that's why they had the thing on his face. And then Green Arrow kills him, and I was like, "Whoa, the hell!" I was just intrigued every step of the way. But before Green Arrow kills him, the last thing he does is gives Lana this suit that absorbs kryptonite. Like, everything is perfect for him and Lana, for Clark and Lana. But then she starts absorbing kryptonite forcefully. She can't control it. There's no getting rid of it. And you know, one of the parts that really made me cry, I was just like, whoa. Like the way they handled relationships in this show is actually amazing. Yeah, you actually feel it. Whereas in Arrow season 4, for instance, I felt nothing except for misery when watching the relationships. Not in like a good way, like, oh man, I sympathize. I wanted to kill myself. I mean, if you're gonna just do a horrible relationship, you could have at least pulled one from the comics. Who the hell is Felicity Smoke? I love the Arrowverse and I love Arrow, but season 4, man. Oops, sorry, Hannah. Back on topic though. They killed Lex Luthor. It's revealed like at the end of season 9, I think. See, I don't remember what happens in what season, which is why I'm not doing a seasonal review. But in season 9, it's revealed he had a clone of himself. Or he had a bunch of clones, and he was still working on one. Whatever. But throughout the show's run, you know, you see a lot of cool stuff. Show starts, and you're like, oh, so this Superman is in love with this girl. That's probably Lois Lane, is what I was thinking. Then it was not. It was Lana Lang. Both have for LL in their initials, but you know, because I didn't know who Lana was, but apparently she was in the comics for a while. And then you have Pete Ross and stuff, and Chloe. Chloe was an original character for the show, which is why she hasn't appeared in anything else. Warner Brothers sort of has. My dad watched the show way before I did, so because I only just started watching it like 6 weeks ago. But I remember my dad saying something like, well, Warner Brothers has the rights to Chloe, and they're keeping that to themselves or whatever, which is why she's not in the comics, and you know. So I don't know why they're holding on to it. I mean, like, if you're not gonna what's the point in having it if you're not gonna do anything with it? And it wasn't like all this Allison Mack sex cult stuff. It wasn't that had nothing to do with it. They just didn't want it put anywhere else. I did make a theory that Chloe Sullivan and Felicity Smoke are the same character, and I still believe that. But apparently Chloe eventually adopts the name Watchtower, and Felicity has Overwatch. So now the only thing is the calculator is never referenced, so probably her dad isn't the same character, but whatever. The mom, actually, that doesn't work either. Donna is nothing like Donna Smoke, I think is her name, is nothing like, I think she was played by Linda Carter on Smallville. But, you know, so, but, yeah, so Chloe, has an interesting arc through the show. At some point it's revealed she was always jealous of Clark's affection for Lana. So eventually Clark and Chloe try to make it work, but it just doesn't, for whatever reason. I actually believe it had something to do with Lana. But Chloe's defense mechanisms are retarded. In season 3, like, every step of the way, she's just like, I think we should be friends. She just says that, and there's no reason for her to say it, and then she says it, and then she's like, oh, but I didn't mean it. And then she's like, why are you even working at the Torch? And then Clark's like, fine, I'll quit. And she's like, why am I doing that? And then she's just like, you know what? Why are we even friends? And Clark's like, okay, fine. She just keeps doing it. Like, why are we even? And then, something else. And it's just like, would you freaking stop that? There's no reason to do it. You just keep doing it. And then you don't tell Clark the truth about it. Like, if you just said you didn't mean any of that, you could fix it. But instead, you're going to do this whole best friend masquerading as girl of your dreams masquerading as best friend BS. And then she meets Jimmy Olsen, which I thought was cool. And I was like, oh, cool. I like this version of Jimmy Olsen. But then he dies. So Doomsday was really cool. Doomsday and Sam Witwer played Doomsday, and Davis Bloom. For a while, I thought Davis Bloom in the comics was the guy who created Doomsday. But in the comics, Davis Bloom doesn't even exist. So I don't know where I got that from. I've said it here on the channel before, so I'd like to correct myself. The guy was some German Kryptonian scientist named Bertram. So, in the comic, or in Smallville though, the people who, Doomsday is actually the son of Feora and Zod. And Davis Bloom turns into Doomsday under sort of extreme emotions. Kind of like the Hulk, but it's not just anger, it's like fear and anything like that. Where I believe the Hulk is always angry. Or it's always from anger. I didn't mean to quote the Hulk from Avengers 2012. Really how they executed all of these characters, except for Brainiac 5 and there was something about Zod I didn't like, but Brainiac 5 was the only character I didn't like how they handled. Don't get me wrong, the actor was great in the role. It was just weird to me that they did it like that. And if I was asked to define like that, I don't know, there's just something weird about it. He goes from being Brainiac to Brainiac 5. It's like, where's Brainiac 1, 2, and 3? And 4? So, or it's 2, 3, and 4. So, yeah. But that last part was just a little bit of a joke. I really didn't like how Brainiac 5 was handled, but maybe because I have the Supergirl version in my head and he's way cooler. Oh, Oh man, if they get Brainiac on like Super in the Arrowverse or something, they should get that guy from who played Brainiac in Brainiac 5 in Smallville. But then they had their own Justice League. I don't know if they were ever actually called that, but they were frequently called the League. Oh, and Jessica Parker Kennedy, who played Nora in The Flash season 5 and parts of, I think she's appeared in parts of 6. I could be wrong. I don't know if I'm wrong. I don't know why I would have thought that. I haven't been keeping up with it as much lately because it's not on TV anymore. For me, we got rid of TV, so I have to watch it on the app, and the app sucks. But whatever. I'll just watch it all when it's on Netflix. But you know, Flash. So on Smallville, she plays Plastique, who you don't remember from season 1 of The Flash. She touches things and makes them explode. And then Cisco decided, hey, I'm gonna give you a boomerang. But Bet / Plastique, she looks at things rather than touching things in Smallville. She was kind of neat, but she didn't do anything. I only mentioned her for casting choice. And so, you see Superman's journey. In season Superman and Lex's journey, they start out as friends. Well, not really, but they work their way to becoming that. And they are like best friends. Like, I'm pretty sure when Pete Ross and Chloe were talking about him, it almost seemed like Pete, in Pete's case at least, that he was just jealous. Yeah. Because, I mean, he did some shady things, like, he always does shady things. But some people are just shady. That's that. I know some people in real life that are shady. I mean, my friend Matt, he always seemed to be up to something. Nothing bad ever came of it, but, he always seemed to be up to something. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm like, how do you not know what you're doing? My brother was another one of those people. I was asking him what he was doing because he was being really annoying, and so I was being sarcastic, telling him to stop. He wasn't stopping, but he just responds with, I don't know, and he keeps making this weird noise. And then he was banging on the freezer, and I was like, what are you doing? And he just keeps saying, I don't know. And I'm like, well, stop it. You're not getting the message here. But anyways, that's sort of Lex. He's always doing something shady. So, yeah, Lex had mostly good intentions through and through. It was really cool. We also see Metallo and stuff show up. They referenced Black Manta, but we never actually saw him. Deadshot was in the show in season 10, and he was really weird. He was a cowboy with homing bullets, because they had like these wings on them and stuff, and it was weird. Cat Grant showed up, and she had a son named Adam. Adam was the first real love interest for Supergirl on Supergirl. But then, by the way, the Cat Grant character on Supergirl is sometimes annoying, to be honest with you. But in Smallville, where she annoyed the crap out of Clark and Lois, nothing really happened. Oh, Jimmy Olsen is killed by Davis Bloom in a fit of jealousy, because both of them are in love with Chloe, but Chloe only loves Jimmy. Well, it's not really that Davis is in love with Chloe. He's more like obsessed with her. And so they do like, Death of Superman and stuff, where Jimmy and or where Clark and Doomsday both kill each other. But in this instance, it's Jimmy and Doomsday, and Jimmy and Davis who kill each other. Doomsday does die, but And I was like, what the hell? If this is supposed to be an origin story, how can Jimmy Olsen be Superman's pal if he's dead? Keep in mind, he only just found out that Superman was the Blur, the Red Blue Blur, as he was called at the time. which is just too close to the blue blur, to be honest with you. But he only just found out, and yet... And now he's dead, so how can he be Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen? Well, at the funeral, there's a little boy who Lois gives Jimmy's camera to. Apparently, he's also named Jimmy Olsen. So, the Jimmy we had been following to that point is a completely original character, and then the Jimmy that appears at the end of the series for like a few seconds is the comic book one. Instead of his dad giving him the camera, like in the comics and in Supergirl, I think in the comics anyways, it's his brother. So that's neat. The Jimmy Olsen, I don't know why they would both be named Jimmy though. So that's weird. But anyways, so Clark and Lex's relationship grows and it gets stronger and stronger over time. There are a few things that test it, but it always seems to pull through. Until the end, where, the love triangle with Lana. And he basically says, screw you, if I can't have her, someone else can, but it won't be you. And, so she has to run off somewhere. We never see her again. I haven't finished the comic series, but I'm pretty sure she's not in it. So, Lex is then killed by the Green Arrow, as I said. But then he's cloned. A lot. Then they introduce Superboy. We only see him for a single episode. But he's referenced throughout season 10, so we know he's still around. We never see him, and we don't see him in the comics so far. Then they show off Earth 2, which I'm not going to go into because it's unimportant, really. You don't need to know that. I could just tell you that Lionel Luthor was resurrected, and that's that. That's the story. It's not important. So we'll just go with he was resurrected for now, even though technically it's Earth 2 Lionel Luthor. I'll reference that in my Smallville Season 11 video. But, yeah, so Lionel, he starts, like, he sacrifices himself to Darkseid to bring back Lex. This Lionel is evil. The one that died was, he wasn't a hero or an anti-hero, but after helping out Clark and Jor-El, his heart went to the right place, even though no one trusted him. And Lionel tries to explain stuff to Chloe and stuff, and Chloe doesn't listen. So, what he was trying to explain has something to do with Lex. And then Lex throws him out of a window, killing him. Splat. Street pizza. You know my deal, bro. But anyways, Lionel sacrifices himself to Darkseid to resurrect, to clone Lex. This is out of chaos because this Lionel doesn't give a shit about Lex. He just wants to dick over everyone else. At least that's the way I get it. And so we see Clark say goodbye to everything. His home in Smallville, which, according to Crisis, he gets that back eventually. He turns his back on his parents and and Jor-El. Something that he thought he needed to do to move on, but he realizes he was wrong. So he fixes that. And then he becomes Superman. And then he stops Apocalypse from crashing into the Earth. Now, one thing I'd like to mention is one of the saddest deaths in this show was Jonathan Kent. At first, it's Lana, and this is when the evil Lex thing started to get going, actually. Lex is in love with Lana, so Lana and Clark are going to get married since Clark just told her everything. And, Lex is drunk and he's chasing her in his car. She gets hit by a bus, or her car gets hit by a bus, and Clark is practically bathing in her blood. It was just weird. And I was like, oh no. Then they fix that, and then the same thing happens again, but Clark is there to save her. However, Lionel comes to the Kent farm, threatens Jonathan and Clark, and Jonathan has a heart attack and dies. Overall, I really loved this show. I give it a 10 out of 10, honestly. I just wish they could have kept Jonathan around a little longer, but the actor probably wanted to leave. But I really refused to believe he was dead. It was that sad. I was like, oh, no. Just go back to Jor-El and get another crystal. So I gotta wrap it up here. I will finish my thoughts in part 2. This was really more of a recap. For that, I apologize.